Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm Maya Schneider. Since June of 2000, the residents and businesses of Donner Lake have been on a boil water notice. While Del Oro Water Company, or Donner Lake Water Company as it's locally known, is struggling to make repairs to that system, the Truckee Donner PUD has stepped up to see if in fact taking over the system is worth their interest. On our show today, I'm glad to introduce to you the General Manager of the Truckee Donner PUD, Peter Holzmeister, who's going to be talking to us about PUD plans of taking over the water system. Later on in the show, we'll talk with representatives from the Del Oro Water Company. Peter, it's great to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
Peter, there's been a lot of background work going into the PUD's research of the Donner Lake water system. Can you give us a little bit of history how the PUD got involved with this?
Sure. Sometime around the middle of last summer, a group of Donner Lake property owners attended a Truckee Donner PUD board meeting, and they brought a petition signed by several hundred other property owners. And what they told the board at that time was that they were boiling their water, that they had no expectation that this problem would be solved quickly, and asked if our board could do anything to help solve the problem. So at that time, our board of directors indicated that we would begin a process of evaluating how we could get involved, and made it clear at that time that if Truckee Donner PUD became the water purveyor at Donner Lake, that it would likely be a fairly expensive fix to solve the entire problem, and that the money to do the fix would really need to be paid by Donner Lake residents as opposed to the Truckee community as a whole.
The entire system.
Right. So that was sort of the origin of our analysis.
Now, this isn't the first time that the PUD has taken a look at taking over Donner Lake. Have there been previous requests for the PUD to serve water?
Yes. Just prior to Del Oro Water Company purchasing Donner Lake Water Company, the then owner, Jack Williams, approached Truckee Donner PUD and asked us to buy him out. And we told Jack that we would only do so if there was support from the Donner Lake community, and again, that the Donner Lake community would be responsible for financing improvements that the system needed. Because even back then, we knew that the system was deteriorated, and that something had to be done pretty quickly 8 or 9 years ago to reverse the deterioration. Mm-hmm. So we sent out a survey, a mailed survey to property owners at Donner Lake, and at that time there was not a great deal of interest in having us take them over, and so at that point we backed out, and the system was sold to Del Oro Water Company.
Okay, and that was back in '94, I believe, or '93?
It was actually probably '92.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. So what are some of the steps that the PUD has taken now? You had interested property owners come to you and say, help us out. What have you done since then?
Okay, there are several different tasks that have run along kind of concurrent with each other. One is we, in-house, using our own engineering staff, designed a concept of a rehabilitation of the Donner Lake water system. We basically laid out how we would serve each street in Donner Lake. We modeled that on our computer system. Using computer design methods, we determined the size of piping that would be required to provide fire protection at Donner Lake. We modeled the quantities of water that would be needed on peak days in the summer, and basically came up with a design for rebuilding the Donner Lake water system. So that was sort of one task. A second task that sort of relates to it is we hired a consulting firm that specializes in formation of assessment districts. That consulting firm, Lowell and Associates in Auburn, prepared a report for us basically describing how an assessment district could be formed at Donner Lake and how costs could be allocated among the several property owners at Donner Lake. So that was a sort of a second task. A third task is we began to consider ways to acquire the Downer Lake water system through a purchase, an agreed-upon purchase with Bob Fortino, the owner of Del Oro and Downer Lake Water Company, and did an appraisal so we could get a pretty good idea of the value of the system in the eyes of, say, the Public Utility Commission, for example. So that was sort of a third task that was undertaken.
Did Mr. Fortino express any interest? Has he at any time expressed any interest in selling the system to the PUD?
No, he hasn't. I've asked him at different occasions, really over the years, knowing that his system was experiencing some pretty significant problems. I've said to Bob Fortino that if he ever is interested in just leaving the Truckee area, not having a water system presence in the Truckee area anymore, that we'd be happy to talk to him about it. Mm-hmm. And he's been pretty clear that that wasn't an interest of his, that he really wanted to keep the water system.
Okay. So what are some steps that you're doing right now? You just sent out ballots. What's on those ballots?
Right. Those three tasks that I described to you a minute ago kind of are separate, but they kind of came together during the past couple of weeks. The engineer's report on the formation of the assessment district was completed and presented to the Truckee Downer Board of Directors at their last meeting a week ago. The board authorized us then to mail ballots to all property owners at Downer Lake. Those ballots were mailed last Friday, the 12th. I think last Friday was the 12th. 12th of
February. Okay.
Yeah, February 12th.
Okay.
They are due in by April 4th. By law, voters have 45 days to respond to the ballots. So that's sort of the next thing that has to occur, is we will receive the ballots, count them, and see what the decision has been of the property owners.
Peter, property owners of undeveloped property, will they be receiving a ballot as well, or is this
Yes,
only developed?
it will be developed and undeveloped parcels will receive a ballot. It is our plan that if we acquire the water system and finance the improvements, that unimproved lots would also pay a portion of the improvement costs.
Benefit that they would ultimately be receiving.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So you sent the ballots out last Friday. It's Tuesday after a holiday weekend, and you've been getting some phone calls.
Actually, it's, let's see, we mailed the ballots Friday late in the day. Today we received 3 back in the mail, so some people were sort of anticipating these ballots.
Wanted to be the first in.
Yeah. By the way, by law, we cannot open these ballots until after April 4th. So right now, I'm just gathering the ballots. They're going to be unopened. When they are opened, they'll be opened by an independent third party,
Sure.
not by anybody at Truckee Downer PUD.
Okay.
Meanwhile, today, I probably received maybe a dozen or more telephone calls from people who have received the ballots and had different questions, wanted matters clarified for them.
What kind of questions are you hearing, Peter?
Well, one person called up and said that he and his 6 children together own the parcel and wanted to know if all 6 need to sign the ballot or if just one does. And the answer is that if one can be authorized by the other 6, that just one needs to sign the ballot. Another person called and said that she had owned 3 parcels up until a few months ago, but she did a lot line adjustment, and those 3 parcels are now 1 parcel, and so I need to send her a new ballot reflecting the fact that she's got 1 ballot instead of 3.
Okay.
Questions like that are coming up. People are also asking why, for example, homeowners and property owners at Wolf Estates are paying a little less of an assessment than other people, and it's because that is a newer subdivision. The pipelines in Wolf Estates do not need to be replaced, and so people who bought into that subdivision are not going to be required to pay quite as much as the other people.
So what does this ballot say? What is it giving the property owners a choice of?
You basically vote yes or no, and a yes vote means that you are willing to assess yourself as a homeowner at Downer Lake, the amount, if you're a private homeowner, basically $6,900 spread over 20 years. So it's $455 roughly per year for the next 20 years. If you vote no, you have in effect decided that you do not want to assess yourself. So it's really yes or no on forming the assessment district and agreeing to being assessed at your property. And it's a simple majority vote. If more people vote yes than no, then the assessment district can be formed. If more people vote no, then we are prohibited from forming the assessment district, and that's pretty much the end of Truckee Donner's involvement.
Because that would preclude you from going out to serve water without really passing that cost on to everybody else in the district.
It effectively precludes us. There might be other ways to do it, but I think we would probably interpret a no vote as not being interested in us, and I don't think we'd want to serve where there just isn't support for us to do so.
You don't need to take that aggressive a stand to do this.
Correct. Yeah.
So let's say you get a simple majority yes, people out at Donner Lake say, yes, we want the Truckee Donner PUD to come in and assess us and rebuild the system. What happens from that point? You still don't have the system. The system is still in the name of another business holder.
Okay, that other task that I described, the task of talking with Mr. Fortino and attempting to purchase the water system, that process will be progressing during this next 45 days. And we really hope that we can sit down with Mr. Fortino and come to an agreement where he would sell us the system. Now, I suppose it's possible that he just does not want to sell this system for whatever reasons that he might have as a businessman. It has been suggested to us and by property owners at Donner Lake and asked of us, do you have the ability to condemn or take by eminent domain the water system? And we do under certain circumstances. So ultimately, I suppose that could be another evaluation that we would go through, whether or not it would be appropriate for Truckee Donner to institute condemnation proceedings.
Okay. And that would be something your board would look at?
Yes.
Okay. On April 4th, the California Public Utilities Commission will be holding 2 public hearings in Truckee. I'm using my memory, which is a very bad way to do this. I believe it's 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, or 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock
Right.
on April 4th. And coincidentally, those meetings are at least now scheduled to be held in the PUD boardroom. I don't know if that location has been changed.
Right now, those meetings are still scheduled for the board meeting, and it's my understanding that the first of those meetings, which occurs, I believe, on April 2nd, is an evening meeting, and then the following days, those meetings are daytime meetings.
So if you're getting confused on the dates, we understand, and I would say pay attention to the local paper, the Sierra Sun, and
Right.
they'll have dates and times there.
Right.
But those meetings, what do you anticipate the role of the CPUC will be in those hearings? Are they coming to hear the residents of Truckee talk about the water system, or what is their goal here?
No, I don't believe that's the goal of the PUC hearings. What has happened is Del Oro Water Company has asked the Public Utility Commission to release funds to them so that they can initiate their program to rehabilitate the water system. There are residents of Donner Lake who have objected to the release of more funds to Del Oro Water Company on the theory that they really don't want Del Oro to undertake the improvement of the water system. At this point, there's a group of people at Donner Lake who have lost confidence in Del Oro's ability to do that. And so they are hoping that the Public Utility Commission will not release more money to Del Oro Water Company, but instead will wait and see the outcome of the Truckee Donner PUD ballot vote and consider Truckee Donner as a viable alternative to releasing money to Del Oro Water Company.
Okay, got it. And those ballots are due back by when, Peter?
April 4th.
And is that when they'll be opened?
Yeah, what happens, and again, a lot of this is determined by law, so if this process sounds a little complicated, it is, but it's the legally required process. What happens is we are required to conduct a hearing on April 4th, which is 45 days after the ballots were mailed. And then at the conclusion of the hearing, we are authorized to open and count the ballots. So what we'll do is we'll turn those ballots over to this third party. They'll be opened and tabulated during the next day or two, and then there'll be another board meeting of Truckee Donner PUD's board where we announce the results.
Who says bureaucracy
sorry for the
moves
complicated
slowly?
process.
No,
yeah.
and we understand that there's certainly a lot of regulations around this. Peter, we have to break. Thank you so much for being on the show and for clarifying some of this.
Thanks for inviting me.
If you have questions for the Truckee Donner PUD, they're listed in the phone book. Their number is 582.
Call me directly, 582-3916. That's area code 530 582-3916. I'll be happy to talk with anyone about it.
Great. Peter Holzmeister, again, General Manager of the Truckee Donner PUD. At the time we set up this show, we invited the Del Oro Water Company to send representatives. Unfortunately, Heather Milne was not able to make the trek through the snow to be at our studios this evening, so we are anticipating a video to be sent to us, which, with any luck at all, will clip onto the tail end of this broadcast, and you can get some of Del Oro's responses to some of these same questions. Thank you very much for staying tuned to Truckee Talks. This is a very important topic, not only for the residents of Donner Lake, but for everybody here in Truckee. Watch for the information coming out in the Sierra Sun, and again, thanks for watching Truckee Talks. We'll see you next time.
Hi, my name is Heather Milne, and I'm the Director of Community Relations for Del Oro Water Company. We do apologize that due to weather conditions, we were unable to make the taping of Truckee Talks. Fortunately, ahead of time, we were given some questions, so I will review those with you now. The first question: what is the relationship between Del Oro Water Company and Donner Lake Water Company? Del Oro is the parent company of Donner Lake Water Company, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Del Oro. Donner Lake Water Company was purchased in September of 1993. In October, we renamed it from the Donner Lake Utility Company to Donner Lake Water Company because we didn't want people to be confused that we provided a utility other than water. The next question: what upgrades to the water system has Del Oro performed since it purchased the Donner Lake system? Our main focus has been on engineering and design of a treatment plant, as well as system improvements, including complete replacement of pipelines, tanks, booster pumps, and a lake intake. Plans have reached $500,000 on professional services, including engineering and environmental studies. Our initial estimate to get the plant up and running was 5 years. Therefore, we are years behind our 1998 schedule. This has resulted from several things. One, we are mandated to complete an environmental impact report for the water treatment plant. Two, there is current easement litigation with the Donner Lake Village Owners Association regarding a vacant lot that we would need to cross and connect a lake intake to the treatment plant. And three, recent protests to our loan application with the California Public Utility Commission has put our funding on hold. Therefore, we are really in a state where we are repairing rather than replacing a system in need of urgent replacement. The next question: what are the next steps for Donner Lake Water Company? First, we want to continue to serve and keep up repairs. We want to receive Public Utility Commission approval for funding, which is expected in mid-July. Our original goal was to get this funding and get construction started in April. And then we want to move forward with the proposed system upgrades to provide more reliable water service. I mean, really, we're in a catch-22 right now where we have to comply with Department of Health Services orders while protests hold up the Public Utility Commission's decision for us to get our funding. The next question: does Donner Lake Water Company have an interest in being purchased by Truckee Donner Public Utility District, or would you rather stay in business in Truckee? First, what we know about the Public Utility District's acquisition plans is really derived from what we hear and read in the local media. No formal offer or communication has been made to Del Oro Water Company, and we really have a concern for our customers being asked to proceed with assessment district vote when no acquisition cost has been absolutely determined. The next question: if you stay, what upgrades will be performed to the system? As stated in our 5-year capital improvement plan, we include replacements to most, if not all, of our old distribution lines, booster pumps, water storage tanks, and a lake intake with connection to a state-of-the-art water treatment filtration plant. DHS has ordered construction of certain improvements prior to others. The orders of our improvements may not reflect the 5-year capital improvement plan exactly, therefore. So our goals, along with the Department of Health Services, are to provide a more reliable water distribution system, to lift the boil water notice as soon as possible, and to build a treatment plant to comply with the new health standards. The next question is, in what time frame will these upgrades be completed? Well, once we are giving the Public Utility Commission approval for our funding, we are hoping to have the upgrades completed within our 5-year time frame, so basically around the year 2006. A public hearing is coming up on April 3rd at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock for customers to voice their opinion in this matter, and then the Public Utilities Commission will proceed with further hearings to make their decision. Finally, what cost will the upgrades be to consumers? We notified customers on December 19th through a letter, and we outlined some of these costs. The last 6 months of this current year will bring a cost of $16.31 per customer per month. And thereafter, it will be $31.51 per customer per month. Now, this only represents $4.8 million of our total $12 million project. The additional $7.2 million is still with our rate analysts for their projection. How should customers reach you for questions? For information as it relates to this broadcast, you can contact me, the Director of Community Relations, my name is Heather Milne, at 530-894-6739, or you can reach me via email at hmilne, that's H, M as in Mary, I-L, N like Nancy, E, at dcsi.net. Also, we ask that customers with emergencies or billing questions call our service center at 1-800-655-3582. Again, that's 1-800-655-3582. We certainly appreciate this opportunity for us to have our voice heard, and should you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.